From across the comic book community multiverse, the ComicCon podcast begins now with your hosts, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime.
If you give them the title of influencer, then that's giving them more power, right? That's how it is. Like, I'm a nobody. Listen, I'm a nobody.
Zack, aka the Manimal.
We talked about it for a full, I believe, 7 to 8 minutes on an hour-long normal podcast for a show. And you would have thought we set their house on fire with the backlash. So, what up, everybody? Welcome back. ComicCon Podcast, Season 3, Episode 38. When I saw Episode 38 this morning, I was like, or I mean right now, this morning? It's the afternoon. When I saw it right now,
Wow.
I know. When I typed it in, I was like, damn, 38? Are we almost at the end of the year? Man, I guess we are, man. It's kind of weird seeing that number and knowing that's like clocking how far we are from the end of the year. So,
yeah, every week, still not stopping with this train, right?
a little bit closer and closer to 2024. So we're back, everybody. Episode 38. We're here for the comic book talk. It's funny, Justin and I have obviously talk like pretty much every day. And the strike and stuff, there's no news about the movies, and we always talk about how it's almost, we kind of like prefer the news these days because it's all like straight comic talk. It's like what we're really about, and like the movie stuff's fun. It's like, oh, casting for so and so or whatever, but there's this whole like underbelly, yes or no, like with there's this whole like underbelly of like the movie spec game that's kind of like leaves a bad taste in your mouth, right?
Yeah, but it's like we could always, and we could also get into what we were supposed to do next week. But like at the same time, it's like it is what it is. Like that's not our channel.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd rather just talk about like what
but-
other things are happening, like
right.
things that we actually care about, because like we read comics.
I think for me, it's like talking the spec thing. Of course, I'd like to talk about, hey, did you hear the new rumor, or the new movie coming out, or whatever, and it's great. But I'm still a little bit like, I don't know. I still got some hurt in me from all of like the early Disney Plus, like when everyone, like the WandaVision was, oh, this is going to happen. All the spoiler spec alert stuff like that kind of like spoiled it for me, using the word spoil a lot. But that really bugged me, dude. Like it just made it not enjoyable. Like you were living for every episode, not for the content of the episode, but for like what was going to show up, who can get there, how do I get the book so I can sell it, So, and I don't mean me, I mean like the community. I kind of felt like at that time. So
yeah, you're not collecting for yourself, you're collecting to make money, to invest,
right
whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, the moral of this quick little rant story was that we've got some good comic book news this week, and we've had good comic book news. Like I feel like that it's been some pretty strong news the past like month or so, and since the strike. So screw it, go on strike, stay on strike, just come off strike long enough for Daredevil Born Again to come back out, and then you can go back on strike. But
yeah, well, that's never coming out, according to what we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
all the Disney Plus stuff. So
yeah, but anyway, so here we are. The main two, Nemesis Prime, Milton the Manimal, and we've got a community question. Justin, what do we got this week?
So of course we posted on the Instagram, on the ComicCon podcast, on our stories, and it says, ask us a question, not several questions, newbie comics, but we'll get to all the newbies questions because that's actually all we have. And then of course we could talk about Baltimore ComicCon. So being a community event. So first one, when will newbie return? The answer is never.
When will newbie return? Never.
Never. Some other good questions. Actually, I like this. What is because obviously we were going to talk about it anyway. What is your honest opinion on the Marvels and Aquaman heading into the movie? So, Aquaman trailer kind of dropped last week. We were going to talk about it, but we had Scott on to talk about his comic book, and we don't want to interrupt having a comic book creator to talk about trailers, right? That's like
right.
It is what it is. But so yeah, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom trailer dropped last week, coming out in December 20th. The trailer looked amazing. From what I've been seeing from like James, from what James Wan has been saying, like he made this movie where he didn't care about what was happening on the outside world, and that's exactly like the first movie. So like you watch this trailer and it's just like you don't really care, right? You don't care what Batman was doing, you don't care what Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Shazam, whoever the hell it is. He's making this movie like in his own contained environment, and that's the same thing that like Guardians of the Galaxy is like with James Gunn, like when he did his stuff. Like there was no really like outside force except for like post-credit scenes. So I think it looks awesome. You know, again, you got Black Manta, he's back. You got Ocean Master, you got Mira, you got Aqua Babies in there.
Do you have Mira?
Well,
yeah.
so
We
you know,
got a
again,
little bit of Mira, right?
yes, but also director even said like even when he created this idea of like these movies, he said the first one's going to be about romance and him like becoming the king, and then like the second one's going to be more of a bromance with like him and his brother, because again that's also something that I like immediately after the first movie was done and like they put Ocean Master in prison and he's like oh one day he's like we'll talk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you know he's coming back, of course. Yeah.
like you want that. Like you want to see more Ocean.
Right.
Like he's a villain in the DC universe. And then you have Black Manta, who's literally just a straight up villain in this movie. And look,
Right.
he looks awesome. Like
yeah,
down as the best DC villain. Like
probably like to be. I mean, let's be honest about it. Like Aquaman 1, it was okay. It wasn't bad. It was good. It was okay. But like the best part was Black Manta, and you didn't get enough of Black Manta. And like Ocean Master as like your main villain, there's not a lot of appeal. And even like the story, it's kind of a tired story of like half brother, one's on the throne, one's not on the throne. Like it's a story we've heard a lot, right? It's not like a really creative story. So like, but you had to do it. You had to set it up and get it moving. So this movie actually definitely feels like this is going to be the one that will be like really moving Aquaman's story, making it exciting. And sequels always usually are the best, right? Because I know some people say no, but like you're not bogged down by like the origin, so to speak. Like it's, you think about like Empire Strikes Back or Spider-Man 2, and it's just like the movie starts and boom, you're going, right? There's your bad guy, there's your good guy, and let's roll. And one of the things I really liked about this trailer and in this movie coming out is it's something that I feel like is a problem in the Marvel universe a little bit, is there's no like real new introduction of characters. Don't get me wrong, there's new characters showing up, but it's not like, hey, you need to now meet this character who's the big bad of the movie. He's already been established. He's here. We're not wasting time getting going and saying like, okay, here's a new guy. Here's High Evolutionary. Now you have to spend all your time like introducing this guy, or here's Kang or something like that. But like you just get to go, and I feel like that's what comic book movies are missing now. Is we went through that really good era where we weren't doing origin stories anymore, really, for the most part, which was awesome. It's like, yeah, dude, we've seen Batman's parents die. Like, we're good. Like, we don't need to see
we know Uncle Ben dies.
Yeah, we don't need to see him kick around, right? You know, so and we moved on past that, but then they haven't got past the idea of like, just we don't need a new character every time. Like, just build off of your cast and go with it. So I thought it looks good. I'm actually really excited about it in a weird way, even though I know it's not going to mean shit. But I still have the same complaint I had about the first one and I guess, I mean, it's inevitable. I don't know how else you would do this, but I never really liked the idea of it's like space underwater. Like, I don't like the ships they use. It feels like Star Wars underwater in a way. Like how they have like, I don't know, you can swim really fast. What do you need a spaceship for? I don't know. I never liked that, but
because you want to be casual. Like you want to
you just want to relax while you're traveling through the 7 seas, right?
Yeah,
just
like
in comfort. No, I mean, it looks good, dude. I thought it looked really exciting. But I mean, like you said, dude, like, I mean, does it matter? I mean, even if it's amazing, what do we get from it?
We're gonna have to find out. And yeah, I guess it all depends on what's gonna happen. But you know, that's the one good thing, and I feel like that's even like what James Gunn said regarding his like Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy was like he's making these movies knowing that there's a beginning, middle, and end for the characters. Like Aquaman, it's the same thing. Like you don't need to know about any other characters that are happening in the DC universe. Like literally, like what in the first movie him and his father have a conversation, right? That like, oh, you know, you saved the world type of thing. But like, other than that, there's no real mention of like, you know, how is it like meeting Batman? Or, you know, like thinking that you're going to see the Flash or Wonder Woman. That's not what those movies were about. And that's what's great about it is it's all contained.
And that's how the early Marvel movies were too. I mean, like with the Iron Man 1, 2, and 3. I mean, you didn't see any other characters. You had the introduction of like Black Widow and stuff, but you didn't see like Captain pop in. Obviously they were all leading up to the Avengers, so maybe it's a little different, but that was kind of the theme as well. But now every Marvel movie is like, name the character and then bring in 4 other characters from their own movies, right? So, I don't know. We'll see, man. I'm excited. It should be a good Christmas time movie, right? You know,
Yeah,
a
December
little
20th.
superhero bonus around Christmas time.
Yeah, and I remember the first one also came out in like late December too, because I remember going to see it, and it was like
it seems
it
about
was really
right.
cold like here in Jersey. So, but yeah, that was good. I'm excited for it. So,
What was the second part of the question? The Marvels?
talking about the Marvels, but I don't think we really have too much on the Marvels right now. I
Mhm.
mean, you know, that trailer came out not too long ago, so when we've kind of talked about it. So, you
The
know,
only good
we'll
thing
wait.
about that was Brie Larson looks good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm not excited for the movie. I thought Brie Larson looked good in the trailer. But
yeah, I'm sure we'll get one more trailer before it comes out, and then we'll talk about it, like, you know, what we're really thinking. And then last and final question, legit question: what do you guys collect outside of comics? Zach, you want to go first on this?
Damn, man, you know, like I used to collect more stuff. Collect is kind of a weird word. Like I guess books, like novels. I wouldn't say I initially collect them, but like if I have an author that I like and their books come out, I do buy the new ones. So like there's like Forgotten Realms, if you guys are familiar with like fantasy, you know, it's like a kind of a sort of like Dungeons and Dragons. Well, it is Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a Forgotten Realms imprint, and there's R.A. Salvatore, like probably the most popular writer in that. So all of the Drizzt Do'Urden books, like I collect those, the Wheel of Time books, Dark Tower, anything that I like authors, I usually will always buy their books. So, you know, I used to do, I think we talked about it in a previous episode, the movies, right? Like the DVDs. And you'd go to like Best Buy on like Tuesdays. Was that when like
Tuesdays is new release day.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you'd get like the new movies. So I used to do that. Yeah, dude, I think that's it. Comic books is enough for me at the moment, bro. I don't need to collect more things.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, for myself, it's weird because it's like I've gone down every rabbit hole, you know, like Pokemon cards, like Transformers, like statues, like action figures. Obviously, now it's like in the video games, and it's like everything. Like we have so many things, but then you're at the end of the day, you're just like, what am I doing with all this stuff?
Right. It kind of wears off a little, right?
Like I've sold like so many like action figures. I've sold so many Transformers. I've kept a few like the masterpieces I've collected over the years. Like I've kept them, but like everything else, they're kind of gone.
Yeah.
The DC collectibles, like anytime those Harley statues, Batman statues would come out, or like a specific line, like I had everything. Like whole Art Germ Cover Girls line, I had it. I sold them all. You know, I think the only thing I have really left in my collection that's not even here at my house is like the DC Arkham City Asylum and Night statues, which you know, like I could sell them and make money because at the end of the day, like I've already, you know, I've had them for so long, right? And I'm sure I sold them. It's even they've really never depreciated in value. They either appreciate or they've stayed the same. Like I know I'm not selling them for a loss. So I guess realistically, the newest thing would be like the video game market, which is annoying because that is still like my first love.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I could get into, and I've always kind of like stopped myself, but it's a love of mine that I'm waiting actually till my son gets older and I can enjoy it and not feel like such a creep by doing it, is I love Legos, bro. So like I could really see myself getting into like a Lego line and collecting all of them. There was a time when I was like, okay, I think it was when Guardians of the Galaxy 1 came out, because I was at like Target and I bought like one of the Guardians Lego sets. I was like, maybe I should get into this. And then I quickly was like, don't do it. Don't do it. I would like that. You know, sometimes I see like displays of people's Lego sets, like they have like a room and they built like all of a line out and it looks really cool. Like the Lord of the Rings ones, dude, those are sick. And obviously the Star Wars ones are amazing.
Yeah. And you go to cons and like people have all the custom ones they've done.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
like wild. Like
I really wanted that Voltron one for a long time that I was gonna get it for a little, and then it sold out because it was pretty like limited. It was something about like a fan created one and then Lego like took it, if I'm right, and then like made it into a thing. And it wasn't, you know, didn't have a lot of them, and it sold out. Now it's kind of expensive to get, so moved on from that one also. But
yeah. Anyway, great questions. Thanks, newbie, for the questions. Let's continue with our community section and let's talk about Baltimore ComicCon. So we were originally both Zach and I were supposed to go, and someone canceled on me because his plans changed, which always happens. So, but I still go, still do my thing. I appreciate my man Matt, X Last Level Comics. You've heard him here on the podcast once or twice. He was my roomie. He was chilling with me all weekend. Of course, Binky's 03 as well. Baltimore's an awesome show. We talked about it leading up to Terrificon, which is an amazing, community event. Obviously, it's in a casino. The food, the show, the comic books, it's everything. But if you're on the East Coast and you've never been to Baltimore, it's another great show. Like, it is all about the comic books. There's no fluff like New York Comic Con brings, or San Diego, or I would even say maybe like Emerald City, like the super big shows. It's literally a down to earth, like digging show. Like, there's deals to be had, there's comics to be found. The writers, the artists are great. There's no like random people that are there just because, like, it's not like, oh, they're bringing, and don't, I'm not shitting on this, but like, there's no like wrestler, like old school wrestlers, or tons of voice actors and actresses and stuff like that, which I feel like the fan expos, like, that's what really that's there for, right? This show is nothing but like great comic book artists, comic book writers, every day. And then just, the community was amazing. Just, there's so many people that showed up this year. I feel like to me last year was, I think, better. There was a lot more people that I never met before, but I love just hanging out with people, digging, hanging out with the short box crew, hanging out with the Philly crew. And all in all, it's just an amazing show to go to. I love going to it. I think it's at the end now. They pushed it next year to like the end of September. And just because you're just in the Inner Harbor, you stay at a hotel within a block or 2 blocks of the convention center. It's easy walking distance. So much stuff to still do around in the area. Baltimore is not the greatest area, like you go like 5 blocks out and you're really in the hood.
Rough.
There's a lot of homeless. I mean, literally walking back and forth every day. There was this guy who set up under like an underpass with his tent. But I think it's a great show. I think, we appreciate the people over at Baltimore ComicCon. We were able to get press badges, so I was able to get in and, kind of hang out with some people. So, I appreciate that. And, look forward to going again next year. And hopefully, with Zack being here on the East Coast, it's an easier trip for him. And same thing for me. It's like it was like literally a 3-hour drive, or I could have taken the Amtrak and been there in like 2, and it would have been simple. But, I like to carry home tons of boxes, so got to take the train or got to take the car.
I'll be like outside of DC, so it'll be even closer for me probably.
Oh yeah, you're like 2 stops. It's like maybe an hour if you take the Excel, I think, because that's literally how I would go. It's simple to go from DC to Baltimore is like super simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been out there to Baltimore before, and I mean, I don't want to say Baltimore is nice. Like you said, I think you described it pretty perfectly, where there's some nice parts just like everything else, but there's some pretty crappy parts. But it's fun to go there. I really wanted to go. And honestly, my schedule was so like across the board on that, where I was supposed to be out there for a month, and I was like, perfect, dude, this will be great. Like right across that time, that was going to be like the last weekend I was going to be in town. Actually, so let's see, 2-hour car ride from where I'll be, close to where I'm living. So,
or you just jump on the train. Literally, it's literally a couple train stops.
Dude, I don't like driving, so I'll totally take the train.
Oh yeah, believe me, I would take the train just for the luxury of like not having to worry about there's like traffic or whatever. You just relax.
Yeah, you just sleep or read or drink.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's simple. Like, you don't have to. Because usually anytime, even when I go to be honest, anytime I go to any convention or any show, like, I'm always driving to it. Like, very rarely do I go with someone and they drive. I think the last time was, like in June when Jeff and I went to Philly Fan Expo. He drove, but Philly's like only an hour away, so it's like not the worst. But last year when Jeff and I went to Awesome Con down in DC, he drove all the way to DC from Jersey. And that was like a 4-hour drive. So we drove all the way there. We were there probably only 4 hours, and then we left and came home, and that was like another 4-hour drive. So
that's wild to me that you say 4 hours, like it's so far. Like, it's 4 hours to get anywhere in El Paso, and that's Albuquerque, bro, is the nearest big city in El Paso, and that's 4 hours. That's close, bro. Oh, dude, it's 4 hours, no big deal.
I can go up and down twice in Jersey before you even like hit Dallas, probably.
Yeah, no shit, dude. Dallas, shit, that's like 8 hours. But yeah, man. Yeah, no, next year, 2024. That's going to be the year, dude. The year the ComicCon podcast hitting all the cons. So we have a lot of great stuff coming up in 2024 that we're going to announce as we get closer to. Justin and I are working on some behind the scenes type things. So
been making some talks.
It's going to be
fun.
Out
some deals. I'm super excited. I really hope. I mean, at least one of them is already in fruition, right? I guess we could say the first one, right? We could definitely talk about King Kong.
Yeah.
Sure. So obviously, King Kong 5, I guess, is going to be April 6th, I think. I'm just trying to check it as I, talk at the same time. So King Kong is going to be Saturday, April 6th at the Marriott in Park Ridge, New Jersey, which is upstate New Jersey. So we will have a booth there, at least 2 booths, selling, promoting. We do have talks for something else. Don't want to, get into that yet because we have not 100% confirmed that, but you'll see us at there.
Where in New Jersey? What city is it?
It's Park Ridge. So it's like upstate New Jersey. I know I say upstate New Jersey and you're like,
I'm like, totally.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's probably like a 40-minute drive, like no traffic type of thing. But
well, dude, it's only 5 hours. Nothing.
Like nothing for you then.
Nothing.
So
you get to go through like a bunch of traffic. It's a lot longer than 5 hours.
Yeah, it's not that bad. You're on I-95. It's not bad, to be honest. I think Delaware, realistically, I-95 from where you're at to Jersey, the worst part is like Delaware, and most people will say that. Like you could fly, you fly through Maryland anyway, but
that's
then
cool,
Jersey's
I've
simple.
never driven like that part of the U.S. Man, I'm excited.
Yeah. So April 6th, you'll see the team at King Kong. We will set up. We will both be selling. We will both be promoting, and there will be more news to come on that. Obviously,
lots of fun stuff too. We got a lot of like fun interactive things we're going to plan on doing too.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing is kind of under wraps at the moment until we can definitely confirm. But let's just say it's big. Like it's definitely well worth listening to this podcast. So I'm excited for it. It's something that I've wanted to do. So let's keep it at that.
Yeah, let's keep it rolling then. So out of the community section, let's get into some articles. So we've got 2 really good articles from Image Comics. One was one we were going to do last week. Let's start with that one. You want to do that one, Justin?
Let's talk about so if you don't know, Tony Daniels, this is again over from imagecomics.com. Tony Daniels, Edenwood, juggernaut of cover and art, reveals some spike excitement for the upcoming series that's going to be coming out in October. So this is a new series that's going to be launching at the end of October called Edenwood from Tony Daniels. It is, you don't know Tony from, of course, the current stuff that he does with Nocterra. He's done, Deathstroke and Batman, but he is doing both the writing on this and the art, and it's just absolutely amazing. Best-selling superstar, Tony Daniels is hot off the success of Nocterra, collaboration with Scott Snyder on that run. Now he's bringing the fire to Image Comics with his first written and drawn solo project in 2 decades. Edenwood, an eons-long series of multiverse wars between demons and witches, has found Earth as its latest battleground. The battle pits Necronoma as the demonic world which supplanted the Midwest 20 years ago against Edenwood, the witchcraft-controlled area of land that protects the rest of the U.S. So, totally excited for this. They're talking about nonstop eye-dropping. I'm actually going to read this. Blowing action sequences and eye-popping battle scenes is set to launch in October. And if you know what Tony brings as far as his art, that is 100% true. Especially him writing and drawing it is so perfect, because the last time that Tony's written and drawn something that I've loved was Batman Battle for the Cowl, when Batman supposedly was killed, and then you had the 3 Robins kind of take over, and like who was going to be the next, who's going to take up the mantle of Batman. You had Jason, he was still bad at that time. You had Nightwing, and then you had Dick as well, and all of them were shown in the Bat costumes. But yeah, this is interesting. Another Image title that I feel like nobody's really talking about. This was actually just posted on Image's website about 2 weeks ago. There's going to be some different covers. You got some incentive variants, and it'll be on some other platforms as well digitally. So thoughts on this demonic book, Zach?
I'm excited. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not, I've said it a million times. I'm not like a massive art guy, but obviously you can't like you can't not love Tony as Daniel. I mean, his art's amazing, and the art in Noctera is great. I haven't read as much of like stuff that he's written, and he doesn't have like a really long bibliography in terms of like his writing credits. But so I'm excited to kind of see how he does there. For sure. I know he's written quite a bit of stuff, but now I'm looking at like his bibliography right now, and there's not like a lot of like really ongoing series here, like a lot of minis and whatnot. So I'm interested to see what he does with his own title. And, you know, dude, like you said, dude, there's something about when he's the writer and the artist. And so it's his thoughts are mirroring exactly, which sometimes can be a struggle between like the writers, like, these are my ideas, please flesh this out to the artist. And it may not hit perfectly, but you don't have that problem with the guy who's writing and drawing it. So
I just like how it's coming out too. As like, as I read everything, you're thinking it's like, oh, well, everything's kind of, it's fantasy, right?
Right.
But it's really not fantasy, because the synopsis for the first story arc talked about this ongoing series introduces a character named Rian, a young man born during the apocalyptic events of Southern Illinois, who is thrust into the role of hero and leader after killing a Gather. A Gather is a transcendent demon with the powers to cross any border or dimension. So it's happening on Earth, but it looks like something out of a fantasy comic book if you actually check out some of the art.
It's like fantasy, post-apocalyptic, and like kind of all mixed together. So it's really cool. It looks really, really cool. Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Definitely excited for this one. October 25th. No, October 25th. You got a month. So still not on final order cutoff, but it'll be out right before Halloween.
Wait, this says Edenwood #1 will be available Wednesday, September 27th.
Where do you see that?
The bottom of the article.
I see October 25th.
I don't know.
What article are you reading?
Maybe we're looking at two different articles. This one looks like it was written in May 9th of 2023. So
well, that's why.
Yeah. Well, let's just go with mine because that sounds more exciting.
But the article for Image actually says upcoming October series launch. So you're way behind.
Yeah, and this is an Image article too. I must have just found like their old version.
Their old press release.
Yeah.
See?
Well, damn it. So I have to wait a little bit longer than next week. So anyway.
Yeah, because it wasn't even on like my pre-order stuff or on FOC. That's why I knew.
Yeah, I saw #3, I think, was out on this week's for DCBS or this month's. I mean, you can get #3. So I'm gonna have to go back and pick up 1 and 2 somewhere. But yeah, that's good. So keeping with the theme here from Image Comics, we got another great article. So best-selling writer and longtime creator-owned champion Rick Remender in exclusive deal with Image Comics. So best-selling creative trailblazer Rick Remender signed a 3-year exclusive contract with Image Comics effective immediately. This exclusive gives Rick Remender carte blanche on his upcoming titles and signals a wave of exciting plans for his giant generator imprint. So as everyone knows, you know, Image Comics is very creator-owned. That's why a lot of writers kind of go there. And Remender is now one more person who's there building his arsenal. And they kind of, what's cool about Image too is that they allow them all to kind of do their own little imprint, right? So his is giant generator comics imprint. But this article kind of goes on to talk about how Image is happy to have him because they just have so many of his fan favorite series. Like I really thought the part of this article that was really interesting. I'm gonna read it here. So Remender has adamantly championed creator-owned comics and built a portfolio of some of the most rigorously reordered evergreen titles in Image's backlist, consistently outpacing the momentum of each series before it. Fan favorite series Deadly Class with Wes Craig has sold over 1 million copies worldwide. Black Science with Matteo Scalero and Low with Greg Tocchini have each sold over 500,000 copies. Seven to Eternity with Jerome Pena and Tokyo Ghost with Sean Gordon Murphy are close behind and climbing. Thanks to that longevity and fan base, Remender currently has multiple Image projects in various stages of development in Hollywood with details on the horizon. So they go on to kind of talk about Remender has like also been like really, and I'm not, you know, I collect a lot of like omnibus, but mainly like Marvel and X-Men stuff. But I guess his deluxe hardcover formats are just awesome and people love them. And they're multiple reprints and they just keep selling and selling and selling. So I think it's really cool, man, that he's kind of over here doing his own thing. He goes on it. One other interesting thing he says in this article was he's been, I'm trying to think, where is it? Oh, he said, I recently turned down very generous offers to write X-Men and Batman. And while flattered, that would ultimately be a step backwards artistically and not where my heart is at. Image takes no ownership, so my partners and I co-own 100% of our properties. It's short-term versus long-term thinking. You want to build your own house, make something your children will inherit. Image is the only place. This contract is me saying that I bet on myself, I bet on my collaborators, I bet on our characters, stories, and owning what we make exclusively. With all we've got, like our lives are on the line. That's a strong statement. Like that dude kind of threw the fucking hammer down, bro, right there with that statement.
So. Yeah, and all the titles that you said, everything from Black Science, Seven to Eternity. I've read them all, and I've spoken about this numerous times. Like I love his Venom run. But it's odd. The only thing that's the weird thing I take away is like, so you sign this exclusive deal with them, but like he hasn't done anything else with anybody else, right? So like, what's the big thing of like signing an exclusive? Like, if you're not, I could see like. Okay, like Scott Snyder, I think had an exclusive deal with DC for a while because he was only writing like Batman, and then he was helping Tinney with some books, and like when he first came on, and then obviously, I guess it was a short-lived thing, and then he went and did like Witches and other indie stuff, right? But like if you're not at the big two, right? If you're not writing or doing, especially him like doing the art or anything like that, like. Why do you need to sign an exclusive deal with someone? Like, I feel like that's almost like them just tying you to them without like.
Well, maybe it's because maybe it was part of the deal with like, hey, we'll let you have your own imprint, but you have to be exclusive with us for 3 years.
Yeah, but
his Giant Generator is kind of a newer imprint, I think.
Yeah, but I think no, I feel like it's been there for a while. Like, I definitely think it's been there for quite a while. He's had it for at least like. Since the days of like Black Science, without a doubt, and like the Deadly Class stuff. So I don't really get why he's signing an exclusive deal because he's done nothing but Image stuff over the past 5 or 6 years. Yeah, so it's like very odd. Like I went on his Wikipedia and I was just like thinking, I'm like, well, why are you signing an exclusive deal unless like you are not allowed to do any other writing outside of stuff that you're doing for Image? Because like I didn't realize that he was actually one of the co-writers for Dead Space, the video game. Like, not the remake, but even though the remake is the same thing as the original one, and also the video game Bullet Witch or something like that. I remember seeing it on his Wikipedia. So I'm like, okay, so maybe that's what they don't want you to write or draw anything outside of these out of Image. So it's a little odd, but. Cool. It's great for him.
They're like, here's the look, we'll pay you a ton of money. Maybe it's also
that, well, of course, that's what it is.
So. Getting a ton of money, you're ours completely. I mean, that's kind of right. So Image isn't totally selfless, and let's not believe that they're just like good Samaritans out there, right?
Yeah.
But it's cool. I mean, you're reading Sacrificers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's like what his most recent new title that he's running right now. We're on issue 2, just came out a week or 2 ago or something like that. So I think it's cool, man. I mean, Remender, Remender came off a high. I haven't read a lot. I read some Deadly Class, and then I kind of fell off of it. I haven't read it, Black Science or any of his other stuff. Obviously, being an X-Men guy, his Uncanny X-Force is, amazing. But like, I just, I remember, or he did kind of like just disappear for a while. It felt like, for me at least as a reader. So.
I think he was doing a lot of like, like Deadly Class was going up until like last year.
Oh yeah, it just ended.
So Black Science went close to 50 issues. Deadly Class was like well over 50, almost 60 issues. Low was like 20 to 25, I remember. But then he had like little things. He had like that Death and Glory. He had the Scumbag. There was like 2 other ones. Like Tokyo Ghost was only like 10 issues. So some of the things were long. Some of the other ones were short, and that's depends on the type of story you're telling. And I felt like Deadly Class was a story that you needed to tell over a long term because obviously it being at a school, like you're trying to, each year, which was great because obviously each year was like so many issues.
Yeah,
like
it's got a beginning and an end just built into it, pretty much.
Yes, like where you're at as far as like when you started like a specific issue or some random story arc. You were in 1988 because I think it started in like 1986 or 87, the storyline. So you knew that you're like, okay, well, we've got a full year of this character's life and all the other characters who are at that school.
So this article goes on to say, currently he's developing several unannounced adaptations of his work for film and television and curating the next chapter of his publishing empire. What would you, if you had to guess based on his bibliography here, what would you guess he's developing?
I thought Tokyo Ghost got announced already, but as far as unannounced stuff, things that I could see, I mean, obviously we've already seen Deadly Class and that didn't work out, even though it was amazing for.
Did you do one season or two?
Yeah, they only did one. It only lasted one on Sci-Fi, which I feel like that was so disrespectful because that series was so much potential with all those characters. I think the Black Signs, it's Sci-Fi. I mean, it would be kind of expensive, but I think Black Signs is good. The Death or Glory is good. Those would be my two guesses. I don't think Low is possible. I think Low is like super expensive to do. As far as like,
yeah,
if you've read the book, like if you've read it, like it's definitely not like, it's very heavy in green screen, blue screen, CGI basically.
I was thinking that as I was reading like the Sacrificers, right, issue 2, and I was like, oh, I wonder if they'll, I was thinking about that part of the article and like adaptations, and I was like, well, none of these characters are like, there's like 2 real human beings. Like when you think about like, you got to make it, and like you said, green screen and the cost of that, it's, and a lot of studios right now are not really about forking it out. So it's like, I don't want to say, I hate to say this because I feel like years ago I would have said I'd hate to see it in like go animation rather than live action. But sometimes now I'm kind of like, dude, take it animation, like do it. It just is more, you're going to get a better product, I think, than live action, because live action just is too expensive at times.
Yeah. So. I agree on that. The only problem is, like, I don't know if you saw that article or there was a quote today from Robert Kirkman said, oh, I could do Invincible for 7 or 8 seasons animation. It's like, yeah, that's great for the people that want to watch it, but you can't come out with a season every 2 years.
Yeah, dude, you got to pick up the pace here.
Like, we'll never get to it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. But they should. I mean, hasn't there been talk about also doing like a live action? Like, I'm kind of like, I don't want to see a live action. If you're doing a cartoon and it's already legit and awesome, don't do a live action, bro. Because if it sucks, you taint the whole product, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. You just come across as a little bit greedy in my eyes. So I think they just stick with what works, dude, and do it. But anyway, Rick Remender, Image Comics, 3 years. Get ready for a ride. So we got one more comic book article here going over as we just kind of shit on the big 2 a little bit. This is back to the big 2, one of the big 2. So Jonathan Hickman and Marco Cecchetto, hope I didn't butcher his name, Ultimate Spider-Man for 2024. So before we get in the article, everyone knows Jonathan Hickman kind of has been like curating a lot of Marvel lately, right? So he did obviously the House of X, Powers of 10 stuff with the X-Men. He's recently working on the Ultimate Invasion. He's coming out with the Gods miniseries that's supposed to like change the Marvel universe as well. And now it looks like coming out of Ultimate Invasion, we're going to get more or all new Ultimate Spider-Man as well as Ultimate X-Men. So about a month ago, Bleeding Cool posted that we had heard from well-connected sources that just like with the original Ultimate Universe, there will be an Ultimate X-Men and an Ultimate Spider-Man comic book to launch the line. I'm also told that Marvel Comics is reaching out to specific creators for an Ultimate Black Panther comic book, and there's a 4th title presumed to be a new Ultimates book to join them. So that's kind of cool stuff. What do you think? I mean, I'm not going to read this whole article, but Justin, what are your thoughts on this? Were you like the Ultimate stuff? Like, yeah, I think you read a lot of it, right?
Yeah, obviously the Spider-Man stuff, the Fantastic Four stuff was great. Some of the X-Men stuff is okay.
It started strong.
It definitely started strong, and then kind of it was definitely different. But yeah, obviously with the Secret Invasion or Ultimate Invasion storyline right now that's going on, and we're going to be getting a special coming out in November, so that's kind of colliding into like the worlds, because that was the whole thing. Like that 2016 run of Secret Wars like wiped away the Ultimate Universe, and now it's kind of like we're bringing it back. Obviously, if you're reading Ultimate Invasion, you know what's going on with the Maker and what he's trying to do. So yeah, I think the ideas are there, but like you said, with like, and I can't recall, but was there like a Black Panther in the Ultimate Avengers?
So he showed up. in one of the Ultimate titles, but he wasn't really around very much. Like his character didn't get fleshed out at all. It might have even showed up. I might be wrong in the Ultimate. It might show up in Ultimate Fantastic Four. What's funny is I actually did a reread of the whole Ultimate Universe like a year or two ago, and like I liked it, man. Like I really enjoyed the Ultimate Universe. The biggest problem with the Ultimate Universe, and which this is what makes me excited, is Hickman kind of being the puppet master of it all. Is the biggest problems I had with the Ultimate Universe was they basically kind of took every storyline that was already done in the main like 616 universe and then spun it for the Ultimate. So like you had for like, let's say Spider-Man, right? You had, well, hey, Green Goblin, let's do our take of Green Goblin, our take of Otto Octavius, our take of the symbiote, Carnage, all that. So Gwen Stacy's death. And like, there was really no new storytelling, so to speak. It was very much like, here's a list. It's like, yo, print off the biggest events of Spider-Man's history and then run it. Do each one of those. And that's how they kept going. And Spider-Man was stronger for sure. It was the strongest title. X-Men did the same thing, and it was weaker for it, in my opinion, because they would bring up these big X-Men thing. Like they'd try to do like Apocalypse. And it was this weird, or was it Sinister? It was this weird thing where Sinister, and he was like going around like assassinating people as like a hitman, and then he was like an insane person. I don't know. They would just try to really, I don't know. I didn't like how it wasn't original. And I think Hickman won't allow that. So
yeah, I think obviously the strongest was Fantastic Four, because like trying to read FF really? And like, yeah, I think
I liked it too. It's surprising to hear that. I think most people shit on
no, I just feel like as far as like if you're trying to read like 616 FF to like Ultimate FF, like Ultimate FF was like way better reads. Like,
yeah, their Thanos though was
well, that was but that because obviously also the thing is like you got to think about like back in like the 60s when Fantastic Four came out, that title really wasn't great anyway, right? Like it introduced a lot of characters in like the first 50 or so issues. Like yes, there's some decent storylines, but like FF never really had a good storyline. But I feel like on the Ultimate side, like there was a lot better stories, and because knowing that they can almost like freeform this and like what you've done in the past, so let's just change it. Obviously, like Spider-Man, you said is completely different. Some of obviously the main thing, the Ultimate Spider-Man was still probably the best of it. Yeah, I'd say
it was the strongest.
But it's like as a comparison, like I still think that Fantastic Four hits above 616 FF.
Yeah, I actually liked pretty much all of them. It wasn't until they started, even the Ultimates was pretty good because it was kind of like a more adult version of the Avengers in a way. I mean, you had like Hank Pym like totally tearing into the Wasp, like beat the hell out of her. And there was some creepy stuff too with like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch where it was like clearly incestuous. But I mean, it was all good, dude. But like you said, so Hickman leading it. So Hickman will be writing at least one of these titles going forward while keeping his eyes on the other. How any of this will tie into his God series, if at all, is unknown at this time. So be ready for more things at NYCC, more reveals. They have a whole panel, Marvel Next Big Thing panel, and one of the things they're going to be talking about is Ultimate Spider-Man, which is coming out January 2024. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it goes. If you were to be anyone other than Hickman, though, I'd be like, come on, dude, come up with something new. But I trust Hickman to kind of like breathe some new life in it. So, yeah. Well, anything else? That's it on the articles.
The only other thing is we could stick with some not some image stuff, but with some indie stuff. So this actually just got posted the other day over on Bleeding Cool as well. So James Tynion and Weather Deladera is going to be launching the Book of Slaughter. So if you remember, last year we had we have obviously right now we have Something is Killing the Children, we have the House of Slaughter, but we had the Book of Slaughter that came out, that one shot, which kind of didn't really introduce Maxine Slaughter, but that was like kind of spotlighted her. So this year, kind of leading into their 5th anniversary, they're talking about is bringing back Maxine into the storyline of the Book of Butcher #1, and that's kind of her storyline that's continuing to spotlight her journey from White to Black Mask. So I really liked the one shot that they did last year. I think this is going to be spot on. So again, if you didn't really like House of Slaughter, but you are still continuing to read Something is Killing the Children, I think these one shots are pretty good. I thought Maxine was a cool character in the one shot, and the first time that she was introduced way back in like 20 issues ago, I feel like, in Something Is Killing the Children. So be on the lookout for that. And that looks like it's going to be coming out sometime at the end of the year as well. Like literally right at the end of the year, December 27th, Book of Butcher #1.
I loved I loved in that one shot, just like the world building it did. Like that was kind of the first you really got like the full explanation of like the different masks and stuff and kind of what their roles were. And it was real. It was obviously a lot of dialogue and not a lot of like comic book like stuff, but it was almost like one of those, almost like the old Marvel handbooks. And I really liked that. I thought it was fun because it was like, oh shit, dude, this is cool. Like,
they fought like dragons and all that stuff. Like you saw that, right?
Yeah. Like, honestly, I feel like that might be the one thing that frustrates me the most about the, they need a catchier name for what we're calling this universe. It's Something Is Killing the Children universe is too long. Sicktick? I don't know.
You don't like Sicktick?
Sicktick?
Sicktick or just Slaughterverse, I guess.
Slaughterverse is better. Slaughterverse is better. They need to flesh that out more. Like, honestly, we need to see more of like some other titles and stuff. And like the House of Slaughter has been kind of a letdown, right? I think we've both kind of talked about
the first story, the first 14 issues, but now they changed it. It's a completely new character.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, they have like these little arcs and they're okay, but like, I don't know. I want to see more about the universe. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Erica's great, but we need to branch out and like show me some of these dudes who are fighting dragons. Like, show me some of those guys. That's what I was,
give me like a team book, right? Like, give me like a whole book of just like the red masks or the white masks. Like, give me that. Don't give me like one character. Give me like a team of them.
Yeah, show us the different masks, like culture. We get white and black, bro. We get it. We've seen it. Like, and you kind of got a little bit of the blue, right, as like a support staff, but yeah, man, that would be cool. Like, picture like Blackest Night, right? Like all the different like rings, and like you get a book for each mask would be really cool. Something like that. I don't know. Come on, Tinian. I know you listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's all we've got. Let's finish out like we always do with what we are currently reading this week. Justin, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, so let me start off with some hot garbage. I'm sure
like the best part.
Such a stupid title. Awful. Uncanny Spider-Man #1.
Oh man, really?
It was just so dumb. Like, Nightcrawler is Spider-Man, and obviously what happened after the Hellfire Gala. Obviously they're being the mutants are being hunted, so he's kind of dressing up like excuse me. He's dressing up like Spider-Man and going out on these missions and like saving people, and then there's like Spider-Man's there, and he's like they're having like this conversation of he's trying not to use his powers, but obviously he has to use his powers because he's a mutant, and it just was like so idiotic, and I just like, I'm like, all right, whatever, let's just get to this end of this issue so I could feel like I read this. But yeah, definitely hot garbage for me was Uncanny Spider-Man. Honorable mentions, just some books continuing the Gotham War. So Catwoman 57 came out this week, so that's kind of like another tie-in, part of the Gotham War storyline. Still solid. Like, now you get to see the opposite side. You get to see a little bit more of Catwoman, less of Batman, what she's doing in the Gotham era, and obviously she's got Red Hood with her, so you get that part where you're like, you understand that both of these characters like came from nothing. And they're different than like someone like Damian or Dick or Barbara. Like, you get why you would like Jason as far as like growing up in Gotham and exactly seeing why why she's doing what she's doing, because Red Hood's all about that too. Like, yeah, crime is down, and like it's no killing and no really hurting anybody at the end of the day. But next up, the somewhat of a stupid title, but it's funny. The Star Wars Dark Droids D Squad #1. You get the introduction, not the introduction, but you get the every issue is going to, I guess, be a grouping of different characters. So in this first issue, you have Pit Droid with R2-D2, and of course you get your main man Chopper, who we haven't seen, because Chopper doesn't ever show up. So the fact that you get Chopper in a comic book is great. Like, he's obviously a fun part of the Ahsoka show, Star Wars Rebels. Really kind of saw him in Kanan series, a little bit in Star Wars Adventures on IDW, but he's never really had like a cool, like fun heart. So the fact that he's kind of, being like the main character, but obviously it's a tough read because obviously it's all about, thank God there's like one droid that actually talks, right?
Yeah,
It's
dude.
like you
A
get the
tough
beep
read
boop
or also a
beeps.
fast read.
Well,
It's really
yeah, exactly.
It's a really quick read for sure.
You just got to think about what they're actually beep boop beeping about.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, I guess pick of the week. I'm really enjoying this reboot, Superman #6, part 1 of the Unchained for the Dawn of DC. So obviously, Superman is kind of working with Lex. He's got this new LexCorp thing. It's called Supercorp. And basically Superman finds out that Lex built this prison that's like far underneath the earth that is supposed to be, unattainable, like can't be broken out of. This is like this was the future, was to imprison people. And of course, Superman doesn't like that. Like, oh, well, and who's down there? And nobody knows. Obviously, only Lex knows, but he's in a coma. So of course, Superman goes down there. They open up the prison, and I was really hoping for Doomsday. I really was hoping for Doomsday, but it's some new character. And,
that's cool, though.
Yeah, no, it's really, he's like all chained. He's like literally all chained up. I don't know if he's a Kryptonian. He's kind of very skinny, long hair, beard, but he's all got like these giant chains on him. And Clark lets him out, and then somehow Clark gets chained up down there. And now the only person that can unchain Clark is Lex. But now this guy is going to go run rampant on Metropolis. So, but yeah, pick of the week, definitely the Superman series is just still spot on every month for me.
That makes me want to go back and read them. Actually,
it's good. I think it's a great series for the Dawn of DC. I think it's one of the for me. I think it's probably my first or second favorite on the reboot so far.
Nice.
So, what about you?
Well, okay. I mean, I'm a little bit of a stand for X-Men, so I didn't think Uncanny Spider-Man was that horrible. It's bad, but I do get it. Like I remember when I saw it that they were putting him in a Spider-Man outfit, I was like, "What the fuck, dude? This is stupid." But and we'll see where it goes. I know it's supposed to. I did read somewhere that it's supposed to be like there's supposed to be some big things that happen with Nightcrawler and Mystique and like exploring their relationship, which really hasn't been done a ton, to be honest. As long as we've known that they're mother and father, like it really hasn't been done a ton. So
mother and son,
yeah, mother and father.
It's like
mother and father. Yeah. Anyway, so my hot garbage of the week was a title that I don't know if I ever really liked it, but I never really hated it. And I don't know if you were reading it or not. The Cult of Carnage, Misery, with Liz Allen getting like her own symbiote, Misery.
Yeah, a little bit.
And all the symbiotes, and like literally it was a 5-issue miniseries, which thank God. I had no idea it was a 5-issue when I was reading it. But thank God it was, because it was 5 issues that didn't go anywhere besides the fact that she came back. Lily Hollister shows back up as like some like knockoff Black Cat. I don't even know what her name is. I can't remember, but 5 issues of like nothing happening. The symbiotes get out. This guy gets the symbiotes. Now there's one dude who literally has like 6 symbiotes. His name's Madness. So that's cool. Not. So I don't know. I was really kind of bummed out by that series. So that's my hot garbage. My honorable mention is a Fall of the X book, Dark X-Men, which is so cool. I really love the team. I mean, it's just a hodgepodge of like bad characters. You got Madeline Pryor leading a team with Havoc, Empath, Maggot, Archangel. Gosh, who else? There's just Azazel. So it's just like some like Zero and Albert and the girl. Damn it, dude. I can't remember right now. That's gonna bug me right now. Lorna D. I don't know.
No, that's Star Wars.
It's Albert and God damn it, this is embarrassing. Anyway, whatever. Moving forward, loving Dark X-Men. It's really cool. I love the way the team is, and obviously I'm a big Havoc fan, so that's my honorable mention. My pick of the week, though, which I kind of felt like was gonna be my pick of the week because it was just such a cool concept, and we talked about it, was Predator versus Wolverine. Did you end up reading it?
I did not. It's still on my list to read of stuff. I didn't get through it.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna read books yesterday, and then I had to like literally rush through books before we.
Yeah, it was so good, dude. I mean, it was just, not so good, but it was like really cool. Just really fun story, and like kind of starting off in the past where they've like interacted before. So he's like it kind of ties into some of the origin miniseries as well. You see kind of like a younger Logan, and he interacts with the Predator, and he kind of beats the Predator, and the Predator's like coming back for more. And so then it's showing like, then it fast forwards to like what we talked about, where we see him with like Team X and the Weapon X days. So I think you're going to see a hunt that's actually kind of going on throughout Wolverine's life, where this Predator is like keeps coming back after Wolverine. And so it was pretty cool, man. It's just like a, you know, a total fan favorite type situation with these two characters that would never need to be put together, but are. But yeah, I really liked it. You have to tell me what you think.
Yeah, definitely. So here, speaking of Wolverine, did you read the latest issue of Wolverine 37? I guess it was.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Like this whole like him and hanging out with Bruce, and it was kind of like it was like semi of a reprinting of like 181.
Yeah, and also it was kind of the Hulk versus Wolverine in the Ultimate Universe too, where like the rip them in half thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, man. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't great. It was you know, he's on his own with this Fall of X thing, and he's roaming around. I didn't really find it believable that, like, I don't know, because what's going on with the Hulk in the Hulk run right now doesn't make sense. Like all of a sudden, and he's in that same place. That's what's kind of strange. He looks exactly like he looks in the Incredible Hulk current run, and where that story's at makes no sense. Why he would be like, "Hey, I'm going to go to Madripoor with you, and I'm going to go to to Canada with you." Like, you're just traveling around. Like, no, dude, I don't know. That part kind of bugged me. It was unnecessary, to be honest, but you do got to kill 3 Wolverine clones. You're probably going to need someone like the Hulk to do it. So
yeah, I mean, that was cool, some of the parts, but
yeah, that was cool. Elsa D is the little girl who controls the cyborg Wolverine Albert. Damn, I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah. So what did you think? Did you like it or no? That Wolverine?
No, I mean, it was weird because like you said, like there's times where it's like it's all like a lot of his stuff. It's like happening in his mind. It's all just stuff that we've already seen. Like, but it was interesting to see like these random, like that cult with the Wolverines, like the clones, which was cool. And then I can't remember how it ended.
He just took them all out. Remember, he went to Japan. He took out the one in Japan. He took out the one at his house in Canada. And then each one had kind of like done different things, right? So like one was like feral, one was like a cult follower, and then one was in the gladiator pit.
Yeah, but I just feel like it had like some type of ending where I was just like, okay, I see where they're going with this.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Can't think of it. I'll have to look at it. But yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, other than that, I'm definitely going to read the Wolverine versus Predator. I mean, we talked about that a while ago, and it just I was just running through books. I mean, there was definitely a lot to come out this week. Like I heard the new Nocterra this week is amazing. I need to finish that. Like Something is Killing the Children was new this week. I didn't get around to reading that as well. So there's definitely a lot on my list still to read, but try to get through as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm always behind on my indie stuff because it comes with DCBS, so I won't get it for like a week or so.
Yeah,
I actually just did you surprised you didn't talk about Something Epic? Did you read that one?
I did.
Number 5.
I just didn't want to talk about it. Like I feel like everybody knows that I'm going to talk about it when it comes out. You know what weird book, and I don't really want to get into it because it was going to be probably my backup hot garbage. The What If Dark Carnage.
I don't read that. Yeah,
you see that?
I saw it, but.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. It was very strange. Very, very strange. So
don't pick it up, people.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got like Dormammu in there, and then it's got the Court Cassidy, like the Pilgrim version of him. Like, which is like interesting because they finally brought him back after we saw him like many moons ago. But yeah, it was a weird what if. Like to me, it just didn't make any sense. But
are you reading Local Man?
I think the first 2 or 3, and then I kind of cut out. I know you're still reading that.
Yeah, and they had like a little, I don't know, like a one-shot Local Man Gold that came out like a week or 2 ago. It was just pretty cool. I like the Local Man stuff.
Sometimes, when I'm looking at like my pre-orders and I don't see like the next issue, and they do those like, I forget like Batman's like that when like they do like they did like the Fear State Alpha Omega, and then like Shadow War has something, and like even like now like with the Batman Catwoman there's like a random one shot that's gonna have Catwoman and Red Hood, and like I didn't pre-order that. I mean, granted, I'll get it and it's not gonna sell out, but I always like forget these like one shots that they're doing because it's not part of the list that I'm looking at.
Right. Yep. Well, it's a good list. It's good. Those are good books this week. There's a lot of good, like you said, a lot of good stuff that came out. So
yeah, big week. Definitely a very big week of books. So,
well, that's it, everybody. Episode 38, the end. Probably do an episode 39 at some point, maybe next week if you're lucky.
Yes.
But yeah,
do we want to talk about the? I don't really think it was drama, but it's definitely not drama. But I guess we can be real about what was supposed to happen next week.
I'm sure. Go for it.
So, again, you, if you're still listening to this, our listeners, you know that Zach and I are the realest podcast you're probably going to listen to about comic books.
Yeah.
We were scheduled to have Sean Chen and Daniel Wu talk about their comic Evermind. And literally within 2 days of the Kickstarter going live, Zach and I have noticed that a bunch of YouTubers, a bunch of IG people, there was way too many interviews with them. And we didn't want to feel like we were just another, another person out there, another drop in the pool where obviously by now, literally it got funded and overfunded within a day and a half, that we didn't want to do that. Like, if you want to learn about it, I'm sure you may have heard about it within a week and a half when we do our episode and drop it. I didn't want to, I said it, Zach, and, I want to be a leader in this community. I don't want to be a follower. So we're not going to bring on people. We're not going to have comic book content creators that everybody else is having on. We don't want to talk about everything, what everybody else is talking about. So, cordially, I contacted their marketing person. I said, listen, we're just going to cancel the interview. I'd rather spend next week talking about something else or having guests on that, we like to have who, we kick it with on a constant basis and we talk articles like.
Yeah. So. And that's nothing but, and I don't want anyone to think that that has nothing to do with the content of the book that's coming out or the people. Or
it looks awesome.
It looks great. Like we definitely are. I'm excited for it. But yeah, it's just, most people are listening to multiple platforms, right? So like you're either following a couple of people on YouTube, maybe you're following some people on Instagram, you're listening to a podcast or two as well. And so you probably have already listened to it. And that's kind of our thing too, is like, well, do we really want to talk about something everyone else has already, beat to the ground a little bit? So, well, just so you know, like as to why we won't be talking about it. That's why, so, and it's no shame on anyone who's talking about it. We're going to move on to a different topic and try to cover some other material that isn't being covered by other people. So that's where we're at with that. No drama though.
No drama. It just, we had something scheduled and I think I was on Nearing Nirvana earlier this week. Shout out to the girls that, let me pop on. And I talked about it. I said, we're going to have so-and-so on next week. And literally a day later, I was just like, oh boy, everyone else is, doing that content. And I'd rather find some article that, you boys and girls don't know about, like some cool article that people aren't talking about, like some comic book series that Zach and I don't know about. And we find out about that week and we talk about it and what our interests, either we like it, we don't like it.
Yep, for sure. That's it.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. We will catch you next week. Stay safe out there.
Later.